to get ready for the weekend ahead. All right, so this morning, what is the difference between natural sugars and added sugars? How much can you have? But why is this so important? Well, first of all, from a hormonal perspective, it's super important to really get clear and get your head around what are the things that trigger insulin. And the reason why you need to know about insulin is because when insulin is in the blood, fat will not burn. All right, when insulin is in the blood, fat will not burn. And I'm talking about when it's in excessive amounts. And the reason why this is because insulin is a hormone that communicates to your body to sugar burn. Okay, so therefore fat cannot burn. It's a fact. All right, so you've got to get clearer around how to manage those insulin levels and get clearer on what the things are that actually trigger insulin. And so really getting your head around added sugars and natural sugars and how much that you should have is going to help you maintain the levels of insulin in the blood. Okay, so let's do a bit of a distinction between what the difference is between the two, because it can get a little bit confusing. So added sugars are usually not found in whole foods. Okay, so when you are looking at whole food, you're talking about fruit, for example. Fruit, yes, has sugars in them, but they obviously don't have added sugars. Or what about dried fruit? Does dried fruit have added sugars or natural sugars? Well, even though they are dehydrated, they still are natural sugars. Okay, they're high in natural sugars, but they're not considered added sugars, and that's the distinction that we need to make. What about sauces? Yep, sauces are going to have added sugars. So when you're looking at things that come in packets or in processed foods, these are usually where you're going to find added sugars. So what you need to get used to doing is when you're putting together meals which have ingredients in them that involve things coming out of containers or packets, you need to get used to flipping it around and having a look at the nutrition label. Okay, so what I recommend you do for the first week or so to really help solidify this learning and get your head around it is to keep a food journal. All right, now if you are going through your day and you're putting together really good meals and the ingredients that you're using are mostly whole foods, then your added sugars are going to be very low. All right, and that's great. Now, on one hand, you do need to be concerned or be aware about the quantity of carbohydrates that you're having, but we're going to deal with that in tomorrow's topic. Today, what we want to get clarity on is added sugars. All right, so how much added sugar can you have? It's important that you do understand both those, so I really want to encourage you to be here tomorrow morning for that topic, because though something may have low added sugar, it may be very high in carbohydrate and will yield the same result in terms of insulin produced. Okay, and the same goes vice versa. So when it comes to added sugars, the quantity that you need to keep your levels within in a day is under 16 grams if you're a female. Okay, so that's 16 grams if you're a female, and that's 24 grams if you are a male, and that's for your whole day. Now, you may say, well, that sounds like a lot. And others of you may be saying, oh, well, that's not very much at all. So perhaps what would be helpful is as if we had a little bit of context. Okay, so just so that you know, for every teaspoon of sugar, you're looking at 4 grams. All right, so if you look at something that has added sugar, you want to break that down into teaspoons so that you can get your head around how many teaspoons of sugar it would be the equivalent of you scooping out of a Chelsea Sugar Factory container and eating. All right, that'll help you get your head around it. So let's do some comparisons. One of the snacks that I recommend to my clients, especially if they like dairy, is having some yogurt and some berries. Okay, so we're talking about unsweetened Greek yogurt, full fat, and sweetened with berries. All right, which are going to be a natural sugar. So in the unsweetened yogurt, obviously you're not going to have any added sugars, and you're not going to have any added sugars in the berries. That's awesome. But what's the equivalent if you were to buy a sweetened yogurt. Okay, so sometimes we can be a little confused by marketing. So there could be a label on a yogurt that says like a really good quality brand, and it says Manuka honey, and it's organic. Okay, so organic Manuka honey yogurt. Now this is going to be added sugar. All right, it's a good quality added sugar, but it's still going to be added. So when you look at the amount of sugars that you have per serve, I grabbed one off the internet just earlier, and for 170 ml, which is usually a pottle, all right, so one of those little self pottles that you maybe go in that are suitable for kids' lunch boxes or / not so suitable, there are 24 grams per serve. Okay, 24 grams of sugar. Now for a male, that is their entire daily intake of sugar. Okay, so in order to keep insulin levels under control, if they were to have that one pottle of yogurt, then that would be enough insulin in your blood for the entire day coming from added sugars. Okay, that's it. If you're a female, I'm sorry, it's too much for you. You only could eat about half of a pottle. All right, to keep your insulin levels under control. Now, kids are smaller than us, obviously, but we hear the kids need more sugars than we do. No, kids need less sugars than we do, but more carbohydrate. Okay, you've got to make that distinction, especially if you're a parent. Kids need less sugar per day than we do, but they need more carbohydrate. Super, super important to understand the difference between the two, because their livers are small, and the last thing that we want to see is more kids having health problems. Okay, so here's another one that I thought was quite popular. A lot of people are wanting to go wheat-free and gluten-free, and so are looking for cereals in the morning that are wheat or gluten-free, thinking that they are a healthier option. All right. Now, although it does not have any wheat, it does not differ between the quantity of carbohydrate nor the quantity of added sugars. Okay, so just because something is gluten-free does not mean that there is going to be less sugars in it as opposed to if it were not gluten-free. So I picked a common gluten-free cereal, a muesli, one that would look healthy if you were going to buy it, and there were 12.1 grams of sugar per serve. Okay, so these are added sugars. 12.1 grams of sugar per serve. Now you might think, wow, that's not so bad. All right, so there are only 4, 8, 12, 3 teaspoons of sugar in there. So it would be the equivalent of eating 3 teaspoons of sugar. But if you're a female, your daily intake is 16 grams. That's 4, 8, 12, that's 4 teaspoons. So you're just under, not too bad. However, the quantity is very small. Okay, so when you look at the recommended serve that 12.1 grams is based on, it's 1/3 of a cup. Okay, so 1/3 of a cup. Now that is not a lot. So depending on how you utilize that cereal is going to depend on whether it's going to be within that daily allowance or whether it's going to be out. So if you wanted to keep it in, what you could do is you could have some natural unsweetened Greek yogurt that's full fat, and you could sprinkle some of that muesli over the top of it. But traditionally, how us Kiwis tend to have cereal is in a bowl with some milk. But if you were to do that, your insulin levels would be too high. All right, and fat doesn't burn when there's excessive insulin in the blood. That is the laws of fat metabolization. All right, it will not burn when there is excessive insulin in the blood. Now, I will say that one alternative that we use in our household, which has become quite popular in New Zealand, a really good brand is Raglan coconut yogurt, and coconut yogurt has no added sugars in it in this particular brand. All right, so this particular brand has no added sugars in it. They even put probiotics in their yogurt. There's nothing artificial in there, and they just brought out 2 new flavors, a mango and turmeric flavor, which is delicious. I was fortunate enough to try it early, and a berry flavor, and there is literally only 2.5 grams of sugar per serve. 2.5 grams of sugar. And these are natural sugars So there are 0 added sugars, all right? Naturally sweetened. How's that? Great alternative, especially for kids. It's one that I feed to my son. He's 1. He totally digs it. All right, so here's another one that you could use, chocolate. If you like to have a bit of chocolate every now and again, if at the end of the day you like to finish off your palate with a bit of chocolate, then here's how you know whether you are under or whether you are over. If you are getting a dark chocolate, then there are going to be much less added sugars in there. All right, but what you are looking at is the total amount of sugar per serve. So let's take a dairy milk chocolate. For a row of dairy milk chocolate, you're looking at 24 grams of sugar. Okay, so if all day you kept your sugars low and you managed to keep your carbohydrate portions under control, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow morning, then at the end of the day you finished it off with a row of chocolate, and that's 24 grams of sugar. That is too high. That means that you've now inserted insulin into the blood, and fat doesn't burn when there is excessive insulin into the blood. So 4, 8, 6, 12, 16, 4 teaspoons. So 24 grams would be the equivalent of spoon feeding yourself 6 teaspoons of sugar. All right. Now, if you're a guy, this would be your total daily intake, and you would be okay. However, if you are looking at dark chocolate, all right, so Whittaker's, I took a Whittaker's Sante bar, 72%, which is not too dark, but definitely not dairy milk. You're looking at 8.3 grams, all right, 8.3 grams for a Sante bar. Okay, that's like half of your daily sugar intake. So if you were keeping it clean and keeping it real all day, having whole foods with no added sugars in them, or extremely minimal added sugars, and then you wanted to have a few, like a row of dark Whittaker's chocolate or a Sante bar, then you're still going to be keeping your insulin levels in check. So guys, it's not about ripping yourself off and living in a cave and not allowing yourself to have anything ever. It's really just about educating yourself and make sure that you understand what conditions need to be right in order for your body to choose fat as its source of fuel. All right, and I hope that I've managed to drum home that when there is excessive insulin in the blood, your body fat will not burn. Okay, it's as simple as that. So when it comes to added sugars, that's the distinction that you need to make, and that's the quantity that you need to keep within. I really just want to encourage you to keep a food journal for a week, even better 2 or more, and go through and write down what it is that you're eating. And then if you don't have a chance to write in your journal in real time as to what the added sugars are, at the end of the day, you can just Google the nutrition label and it'll give you all the nutrition facts online. That's the beauty of Google. So that's the message for today, guys. I hope that you got some good value out of that. Stay tuned for tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We're going to be going through how to manage your carbohydrates. Okay, so today we talked about added sugars, but it doesn't consider carbohydrates, and carbohydrates still trigger insulin. Okay, so we need to get our head around the portions and the quantities. But if you put today and tomorrow together, then there's some excellent tools that you can use to really make a significant impact on getting your weight loss down. All right, so that's it for today, guys. If you want to contact me through my website, you can go ahead. It's generationhealth.co.nz. That's www.generationhealth.co.nz. Just select the contact us, and I'll be right with you. I'll contact you in the next 24 to 48 hours. All right, have a fantastic day, you guys. Oh, actually, this is a fantastic Periscope to share. Okay, if you think that this has been real good value and other people would benefit from this, then you want to share it. Okay, get the message out there. Get some education out there. It's such good value. The way that you do that is by swiping up or swiping to the right of your screen. When you do that, it'll give you options to either share to your other Periscope followers, or you can share using Facebook. All right, it'll give you the option, and then you can select the one that you want to use. All right, I really want to thank you in advance for sharing. Cheers for the hearts this morning, guys, and have a great rest of your day. See ya.